Right, hello purple people, we're back with another special episode of PPUK. We've got a really exciting episode today. I'm here with my old pal Paddy.
Hello there.
Sorry, I should say this is Andy speaking to you. It's just me and Paddy, it's a power trio. And the third side of our triumvirate is someone I've been really wanting to talk to ever since I discovered his writing about Prince online, which for my money is some of the best critiques of Prince's work I've seen, I want to say in a long time, but I'm just going to say ever. And this is a fellow who goes under the mysterious punning name Tora Borealis. Hello, Tora. How are you?
Hello. And thanks for that intro. And thank you for inviting me on.
Oh, we had to talk to you because as some of you who listen to PPUK might know, we really like Prince here, right? And we don't just put it on for you guys. We spend, like you guys do too, most of our lives thinking about Prince. And of course, I found myself one day going online. I can't remember what I was looking for, but it was Prince related. And I came across your website, Tora, and your website, we're going to plug it right from the get-go, is 500printsongs.com. And that's the number 500. Don't spell it out, it's 500printsongs.com, in which you are amazingly picking your 500 top Prince songs, ranking them, and writing a short and colourful and entertaining essay on each. So then I showed it to Paddy and the other guys at PPUK, and we were like, all over you, dude. So that's why you're here, and we just need to know everything about you in relation to Prince, and we just want to pick your little purple brains until they're scrambled all over the floor.
Thanks, Andy. And I've been. It's good to talk to you as well, just since you reached out. We've been exchanging a few geeking out messages about Prince over the old Twitter DM. So it's good to actually chat in person about my favourite subject. And I may go on a bit, so I think we need to
yeah, right, because just on the subject of geeky messages, it's typically I'll read an entry on your list and then I'll sort of contact you and go, you put this one at number 424, what were you thinking? And then we'll talk about it. So there's loads of discussion that lists.
I get that a lot.
Of course. I don't care where you rate things. I care about what you think about the songs and why you like them and how you talk about them. But I love discussing this stuff, but I'm not scandalized by many of your choices. Let me throw it open to Paddy, who I think has a question about, how you started with all this.
Yes. So how did you start with all this? No. So thanks for that, Andy. That's throwing me a sweetie and then taking one away.
I know, right?
He's already let the cat out of the bag, really, I suppose. And as far as original questions go, this isn't that original, but entirely salient to the interview. So I guess the first thing we would like to know is just that. At some point, somebody becomes aware of Prince. I'm sure you've got a story to tell, as we've all told ours. So please commence.
Yeah, well, I came to Prince quite late in life, really. I mean, I was aware of him as a child, but I was 11 when Bat Dance came out, and I remember liking that. And then the next one was Get Off. I remember taping that off the top 40 radio. But other than the singles, I never really. It was never a big part of my life until I went to uni. I was 19, and 19 is such an intense age. The world is just so vibrant then, just new experiences.
Where did you go to uni, and what were you doing? Huddersfield.
Yeah, and
you were studying funk.
Creative imaging, it was called, which was basically just a knockoff graphic design course.
Excellent behaviour.
That was the year that my first love, my first heartbreak, my leaving the parental home for the first time, and like Prince just kind of soundtracked that.
Was there someone who got you into him, or did he just caught your ear somewhere?
I mean, I suppose I first heard we had a group of friends at uni, a new group of friends that we used to hang out in each other's rooms in the halls of residence, and like after we'd been out, and one of my mates had the hits album, both hits albums, not the B-sides, and they would soundtrack our after hours parties, and I really imprinted on them. I would request to hear that whenever we were in her room. And at the time I was going out with someone that I started dating at art college, who was a massive Prince fan. It was her thing. She was really into him. But it never rubbed off on me when we were seeing each other. She never played in my presence, so I was still blissfully unaware. And there may be a point with like trying to make this long distance relationship work when it wasn't working, that I then transferred these feelings, that my first love feelings, onto Prince. I'm not sure that it's not something that I consciously thought about at the time, but looking back, I was thinking, well, there's a lot of emotion there. It had to go somewhere. So maybe. But what really set me off down this purple rabbit hole was in May 1999, Basement Jaxx did a essential mix on Radio 1 where they featured the song All the Critics Love You in New York. And that was the first time I heard a Prince song that wasn't a single or on the hits. And it just showed this whole hidden dimension to him. And it blew my mind. I couldn't believe that it sounded so contemporary. This one track from 1982, like hearing it in 1999. And I went out the next day and bought, tried to buy 1999, but the record shop didn't have that. So I was trying to decide which other Prince albums that they had to get, because it was a leap of faith back then. You didn't have Spotify. And I settled on Purple Rain because the long distance relationship stopped working. I was going out with someone called Nikki, and I thought I'd be able to make Darling Nikki and put it on a mixtape.
This
and
is
it's
a real
quite clear as soon as I got it home that I'm like, that was going to happen. It wasn't that type of relationship.
This is a real Desert Island Discs interview of like your life and Prince intertwining and all the little correspondences between the songs and your life. I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, I was hooked from that point on, and then every music shop I went in after that, I immediately went to the P section and tried to fill out all the holes in my back catalogue.
Yeah, we've all been there many a time. Judging from your list and the way you write about stuff, which we will get to in a bit, but I think you were probably quite a lot into hip hop and sort of a lot of 90s dance music and stuff. Am I right? Am I wrong? Were you very eclectic before you got hooked on Prince?
Yeah, that was my upbringing. I think I'm a 90s kid, early 90s. I hit the teens, so I was really into the hip hop. Rave was big in the early 90s, and then towards the end of the 90s, big beat. It's kind of got into more genres as I've got older, and Prince has helped with that because he covers so many of them. But yeah, I think the 90s were an eclectic time.
I'm still reeling from a non-Prince thing here, because I was born, brought up, and still live in Huddersfield. So I'm
spent 4 years of my life there.
And I bet you didn't want to come back either.
That was the site of where I first got imprinted on Prince. I mean,
that's great. If nothing else, I love it. Oh dear. Well, one of the suggestions, I think, to give people who may not be familiar with your work a little bit of a taster, Andy had a great idea that we prepped you to give us a little bit of a flavour and a reading from the man himself. Would you like to give us one of your entries? You don't have to give away where it sits on the Tora Borealis scale, and we're going to be very careful to not go too far into what's where.
No, you totally have to give away where it sits.
Oh, do you think?
Yeah. If I were listening to this, I would immediately want to know where this man has rated this thing.
You see, I'm obviously overly protective of our guests.
I've got an idea, right? Why don't we do it this way, right? Why don't you tell us the song, read out your bit, not tell us the number, and then from how positive or otherwise it is, we'll guess where it is in the top 500, and then you can tell us.
Okay, I haven't actually noted where I've put these. I've put them on my phone, and
I'll go find it.
Included numbers, so I know roughly where, but I haven't memorised them all.
I'm very disappointed that you can't remember all the way down to 22. That's dreadful.
Well, I keep like coming across like old entries. I'm like, what? I put it there. I upset myself.
Oh, you even argue with yourself. This is what. Yeah, this is why it's rich pickings to debate Prince. Yeah, you even end up hating yourself. Okay, let's hear what song you're going to talk about.
Okay, 3 Chains of Gold. I thought I'd pick off just because it's such a glorious song. There's so much to like talk about, and it's okay. So 3 Chains of Gold. This experiment to see how many charms will fit on one chain plays like a trailer for the 3 Chains of Gold film in Prince's head instead of the eventual TV movie. Its epic 6 minutes features him rhapsodizing like the finest bohemian and harmonizing with an army of princes filtering up from the Earth's core. The shape-shifting NPG, in turn, ply this one song with enough key and tempo changes that exceeds any normal album's quota, and was amazingly recorded in one uninterrupted sitting, rather than being stitched together in the studio afterward. Over the top? Yes, but beautifully so. Fuck your albums of identical indie rock that never stray outside their Pixies, Pavement, punk template of choice. This shoots for the glitterball moon and doesn't care if it falls short. It's the penultimate song on his Love Symbol album and became, along with the segues, the most obvious carrier of the rock opera concept, drawing the critics' ire and pulling the rest of the album into their firing line. Shot down with shrill cries of indulgence and bombastic by po-faced Vanessa Bartholomew. And yes, it realms into silliness, but who likes their rock earnest? This is Queen at Wembley, Ziggy Stardust at the Hammersmith Odeon, The Darkness on Mars, a spandex testimony to the sheer balls-out ambition and virtuosity of Prince in 6 glorious parts.
Oh, lovely, mate. You quite like 3 Chains of Gold, don't you, judging from it? Then again, you like all the songs on this list one way or another. I reckon that's at about... I've read this entry. I can't remember where you put it. I'm going to guess 176. What do you reckon, Paddy?
I've already cheated and looked.
Well, all right. What are you gonna? Well, all right. What's the answer?
I think it's more around 164 myself.
Oh my god,
that was a good guess, Andy. Good guess.
That was a good guess, wasn't it? Yeah. I know Tora's style now, so I probably know the numbers better than you.
One thing this really prompts me to ask, right, is do you write things other than this website, or is sort of writing, creative or otherwise, something that you do down other avenues that aren't 500 iterations of Prince?
No, this is the only thing. It started off as a creative writing exercise, really. I wanted a project where I write a little bit every day, and it became a good carrier of that. I started doing it on my commute, just to practice my writing, really. Which is why the ones towards the 500s end of the list are a bit shorter and maybe a bit clunkier than the later ones, which I've started writing pages on.
I don't think it shows, honestly. Your writing's lovely, and I'm glad you asked that, Paddy, because how long ago did you start this, ridiculous endeavour?
2016. It was a month after he passed.
Wow. That's amazing.
I suspect the answer is more obvious. Was it particularly prompted by that, or was it some? Okay.
There's part of me working out some strange feelings that I've never felt upset about a celebrity or someone that I didn't know passing before. It was strange because it was so big a part of my life. To cope with that, I decided I would listen to his whole back catalogue from For You up until the most recent in chronological order. It took me a few days, and while I was doing that, there was parts of his back catalogue that I was like, I don't listen to this enough, just because there's only like maybe a couple of songs that really stand out. And so I decided to make a playlist of about 500. I worked out about 500 songs. It would be like that would be like his entire top tier. I'd listen to that nonstop. That in turn led to the blog.
Because one thing I love about this whole list is you're very egalitarian, right? You're not fixated on one era, and if you are, you mention that in the actual writing, and you sort of say, when I was a kid I was really into this, but now that I'm a bit more mature, I can't rate it as high as I'd like to, but my heart's with it, but other things are better. Me and Paddy are 80s boys, right? And that's no secret to any listeners of the show.
Just for pure, for full disclosure, we absolutely love everything, but if you're forcing us into a corner, we have 80s t-shirts on.
Well, just for full disclosure, I don't absolutely love everything. I don't. But, okay. I should kick myself off of the show now. Let you talk. But no, I don't. I'm okay. I kind of do. The thing with 80s is it's my Simpsons series 1 to 8, right? It's golden for me. There's not a bar of badness in it. And after that, it's cherry picking and sort of having to work hard to like some of it. But I've found over the years, I always try and revisit I try and revisit stuff that I've overlooked at the time. I love talking to you guys on PPUK, Paddy, and the rest who aren't here tonight, because when we talk about stuff that I might have dismissed a bit at the time because it wasn't Sign of the Times 2, I find myself reevaluating it because you have so much respect for stuff that maybe I missed. And since since Prince's death, I find myself listening with different ears and going, what was he trying to do? He was just a human trying to do his best work. So one of the many, many, many things I love about this list is that I will frequently type a song in or go hunting for a song, find it there, and while I'm doing that, I'll start accidentally saying what's next to it. Oh, and I'll follow that link. And then I'll be reading about a song that I have not given the time of day. And I will go and listen to it. You have got me reevaluating songs and eras all over again.
It's a really sort of lovely communal catharsis. If that was your catharsis, I think what you've concentrically sort of pushed out into the online stratosphere is those of us on PPUK, as soon as Andy sort of pointed us at the site, started sort of devouring. It's like I said to you just before I started as well, it's not something I'd read through because there's this beautiful relationship of what you bring to when you go and look for your entry that you're interested in, a particular song. And it sort of what you bring melds beautifully with what you've written. And I just think that's a really sort of wonderful thing. Yet for anybody who wanted to do the job lot, they've got a long list of very, very well written, thought out entries. So as a catharsis, thank you, because it's a very selfishly shared catharsis that brings a lot of joy.
But also, again, sorry, I'll let you say something in a moment after we've stopped just like absolutely blowing smoke up your lovely skirt. But again, what I really love, I don't mind who likes what about Prince. I really don't, right? I know what I think, but I just love talking about it. And I like that even in a track that you love, Tora, you'll often say, this bit sounds a bit weak, or it could have been done with being a bit shorter, or what is it? You're a very, very, you have a very critiquing mind and very critical thinking. I love Prince. Even the bits I don't love, I love talking about and thinking about them. I'm just not a fan of people who. I'm just not a fan of people. Full stop. I'm just not a fan of just saying everything is blanket genius. There's stuff to talk about. That's why I like your lists.
Well, it would be hard to write about something if you think that everything is absolutely perfect. And I mean, it is a lot harder to write about something that you like than it is something that you dislike. It is much better to kind of completely torture track. But what I wanted to do with the list was, I mean, it's my top 500 favorite Prince songs. So obviously, there's something that I love in other songs that I put on there. But I did want to be positive, optimistic. I don't always stick to that. As you say, I do critique, but what I wanted from the start was to be like it, just to be not very cynical and try and champion a lot of things. I mean, but when I do critique parts of a song or say, I mean, a lot of the time I'm justifying its placement in the list, and I'm like trying to think of people's feedback. They'll be like, "Well, I put this much higher," and then I'm like almost like pre-defending myself against it. That I'm putting it here because this is what I feel about.
Yeah, but it's such inventive writing. It doesn't come across like that. Well, you must have had by now had to describe guitar solos in about 275 different poetic ways, and
Yes.
you frequently describe guitar solos as things like the sound of the universe crashing into the sun or something, and I'm like, yeah, this guy understands Prince.
That leads me quite nicely into another. Well, actually, two. There's a fork for two questions here, but I'm going to go with one of them. How much time do you spend prepping an entry? Do you research it? Because you often pull in comments about the 12-inch version. Obviously, there's things on here that are outtakes, and you may have just happened to hear somewhere type of thing. And you do mention live versions. So do you you get the song that you want in the position you want it? I would imagine originally, obviously, guided by an album version, as you alluded to, having listened to the discography through. But, do you then go and get those different, get a live part, then I go and listen to the version from the 80s, the version from the 90s, if it's a long-standing song. How, what is there a master plan when you start putting together an entry?
It's not consistent. It's I mean, especially early on, I was trying to do one a day early on. So it was in my hour-long commute into work. I'd have it on my headphones on repeat, was typing and trying to work out what I'd say. They take longer to make now because, I mean, especially because the songs, because we, getting into the top 100, there's songs that I really, really feel passionate. I really want to nail down what it is I love about these songs. Yeah, so it takes a lot more of me really researching the song and listen to a lot, and I'll spend a couple of days just listening to the various versions until some angle comes to me a lot of the time.
Yeah, you didn't pick the Dance Electric to talk about tonight, did you?
I didn't know. Is that the one where I'm standing on a train?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, right? Because I didn't want to spoil it if you did. But because what I love is like sometimes you're talking about, you're analysing a Prince song and sort of talking about it like a guy writing a rock book. And then sometimes it's just like a diary. You're like, I was going to research this one and think about it and think about all the different versions. But to be honest, I'm just standing listening to it on a train right now. And it sounds fucking banging, mate.
I mean, as I say, it was a creative writing exercise, so it wasn't, I didn't want a like consistent approach. It was like however the track spoke to me. Sometimes I'd like just talk about the history of the track and it'd be more fact based. Sometimes I'd like write a little story about it that doesn't really meant that the track is just a springing board for and sometimes it's like just a diary entry.
Again, I love that. I love how eclectic it is. What a sort of mixed up stew your list is. And even in that 3 Chains of Gold one, which isn't, I don't even know if 3 Chains of Gold would make my top 500. But I did not know that story, that it was done in one recording live band session. Did you know that, Paddy?
I didn't know. I'm saying that I probably did read it. This is one of the things I was actually going to ask Tora if he's got the recently released song, all Prince's songs in the huge tomb that guy's done. That's really crap, isn't it? I should have more.
Oh, that book.
Yeah, that book, the really big book about all the songs. Anyway, it came out a couple of weeks ago, and a few of us bought it.
Yeah,
but
no, I don't have it.
I possibly read that in there, but I can't bring everything back to my feeble brain because there's simply too much.
Do you remember, or do you have a number for, like, you've chosen 500? Do you remember what the pool is if you include every Prince released song and a bunch of commonly circulating outtakes? Is it 1,000? Is it 1,200? Is it 1,500? Do you know?
I know it's over 1,000.
Yeah.
And new ones are being kind of released all the time and getting added to it. It's between 1,000 and 1,500 maybe.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? I often say the more you know about Prince, the less believable any of it seems. Like you can sort of go, oh yeah, he's the guy who did Kiss and Purple Rain, and then you go, oh hang on, there's a proto techno song on 1999, like you said, Tora, called All the Critics Love You in New York. And then you go, oh hang on, he also designed the costumes for that tour. Oh, and all his tours. Oh hang on, he also released 4 albums that year under. Oh hang on, and it just becomes more and more unlikely and impossible that I think Prince is like the greatest black hole ever written. I think when I think about it, I've spent most of my life constantly falling and refalling and refalling into that event horizon that is Prince Rogers Nelson. I'm so happy about that.
Yeah, I think the same, which is why I kind of turned it into a blog form, at least like trying to put it to some productive use rather than just endlessly read things or just bore my friends with those facts.
I've got another idea, right? Let's have another of your entries, but don't tell us what the song is, and maybe it will be obvious from what you're talking about, but let's have the song title later, and then we'll guess the number too. So any references to the song title, see if you can edit as you go ahead. This is like, whose line is it anyway? Now I'm going to make you do it in French, then standing on one leg.
Okay, I've got one. That don't mention the title.
Yeah. Well done, because that's something of a curveball. Easy on him, Andy. Easy.
No. He's not being easy on us. He's been obsessing me for the last month. I want to get my own back.
Okay, go on.
Okay, all right. Eons ago, a diminutive humanoid calling himself the Purple Yoda performed "We Will Rock You" at the Intergalactic Super Bowl. Against the night-coloured backdrop sequined with galaxies, the silver-clad singer fired off flaming arcs of future funk, which lit up the surrounding star systems and caused new religions to be founded. One of these astral volleys eventually released Earth in the year 2010 AD. The music dimmed like distant starlight, a faint echo of its fiery past. The inhabitants were unsure what to do with this strange specimen, and to prevent a mass panic, decided to bury it as a secret track on a largely ignored album. And there it still lies, occasionally greeting travellers exploring the outer reaches of Prince's discography and rewarding them with a gift of a conch shell, which will instantly transport the listener back to Cassiopeia and the greatest halftime show in the universe's history.
Oh, yeah. I know this one because I've read it.
I haven't read it,
Go
but
on.
I know what it is. It's Lay Down.
It is Lay Down.
Yes, come on.
It's that's an example of one of your little flights of fancy, and it's perfect.
Yes.
And I'm going to say that you put Lay Down at about 350. Oh, let's have a look. You don't remember. What do you reckon, Paddy?
It's an interesting track, is Lay Down, because it's got that massive line, Purple Yoda, which has been memed to death and is a modern beloved spec of Prince genius. And it also has that We Will Rock, I don't know, 200-ish.
It's actually 249, so nearly halfway, nearly bang on halfway. But again, so it's really great because like you paint a picture of that song, which simultaneously is very evocative. It sort of, it tells you what that song sounds like and feels like. And there's a little, I'm not going to say diss, but there's a little acknowledgement that although it's amazing, which it is, I love that song. And let's face it, as you say, on an album such as 2010, not the greatest album, it's a freaking highlight, right? But you say it eventually reached Earth in the year 2010 AD. The music dimmed like distant starlight, a faint echo of its fiery past. So there's a little poetic hint in there that it's not the top tier thing it kind of could have been, but it's still got something peppery, correct?
Yeah, I think like the greatest halftime in the universe's galaxy, you'd think that'd be a number one in the list. But
Yeah.
because it's 249, that's only because it's taken that long to get here.
Yeah, it's not vital in the way that, let's say, something like, well, I mean, I noticed that If I Was Your Girlfriend hasn't happened yet. You've still got about 20 to write. I've got a pretty fair feeling that that's going to be in there.
I have to admit that I've got 16 songs that I've worked out aren't in your top so far. So I'm sort of like, this is really fascinating now because I want to see what you're saying about each one of them. But just taking that Lay Down snippet as an example, again, I hesitate to be overly verbose about somebody's writing. Andy's a lot more educated, erudite, and a better vocabulary than I have. But
I just took more shit, mate.
Yeah, or that. But no, you fill a space perfectly. But I say you don't. It's a bunch of colours just like splashed on a page, and it fills the space perfectly. Using the word factoid is like diminishing, but it's so much like a factoid, fictionoid, all rolled into one. Tons of colour and sort of. Well, not even sort of entertaining. It's entertaining. It's ongoing entertaining. It's not unlike listening to a track. It's really, really good.
It's a really nice dance with the song, isn't it? It's a silly song, and you've written a silly thing, which is entirely in keeping with the spirit of that song. It's this is why we want to lick your brains. I want some of what he's having,
Easy, Andy, easy. Come on.
I tell you, this guy's been obsessing me. It's not pretty, but there it is.
If I can just briefly head to the other fork I was going to talk about. I initially went with the is there a master plan when you write a track? What do you do? How do you prep? But the other thing I was going to ask was, you have the little chats underneath, and people can respond, and people can ask questions, and people can interact with you with regard to whatever sort of bit of gold you've just given. How was that? But I admit I haven't read all. Got only 22 to go. I haven't read all of it. I've read quite a few. I am a dipper, but so subsequently I haven't read all the comments. How has that interaction been with the fan base, the enthusiasts, the writers, the readers? And has it developed over time? Has it altered since the earlier days?
It's been largely positive, which has surprised me. Actually, I expected that I'd feel a lot of pushback at like some of my choices, because I have tried not to cow down to like public opinion, and I know tracks like Starfish and Coffee I like really love, but I've put that really low down, and. Yeah, there's been a bit of joshing, but it's it's been largely positive. When I started it, I had a thought. There was a
Oh, sorry. You put Starfish and Coffee at 409.
409.
I said I didn't have any beef with you, yeah?
But in it,
Maybe a
I
little.
explain why, and then that I've got a story backing that up.
I don't mind where you put anything, you incomparable monster.
A story involving a spider crawling into my ear in Croatia. You know, there's a reason why that's at 409. But
wow,
I'll leave you to read that.
It's fascinating. Me being me, for some bizarre reason, I flew right to number 500 right as soon as I found the page. Well, what's he going to put? I think I was a bit sort of mildly disappointed because I rather like it. But
500 is Venus de Milo, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
The level of specificity, I mean, you haven't literally gone, right, this is definitely 500. This is definitely 499. This is definitely have you got this massive Venn diagram where you've got like absolutely love and so on and so forth? What's that like looking at it from that point of view starting?
Well, I think I put together an initial list, and then when I write about it, that's it. That's right.
Yeah.
That's at number 500. That's locked in, and then all the other places are still up for play. So when it comes to write the next one, it'll be like, well, I've got this at 499, and then what normally happens, I'll listen to it and fall in love with it again and go, no, that needs to go much higher, and then I'll listen to the next 499, and no, that needs to go much higher, and it's a constant state of flux, and it's a ridiculous idea trying to do a list and trying to fix them for all time that this is my 250th favourite Prince song.
But that's the fun of it, isn't it? It's such an inexact science. It's a Herculean labour, you know.
It's a bewildering. His back catalogue is so vast and it's so like chaotic. There's so much in there, and like trying to impose order on all these songs, I can understand that urge, and I think it's a very male trait to like come late to lists of your favourite songs, but it is a fool's errand. It's like you can't fix it for a time; it just changes.
But in all truth, the list is there largely as a pretext for the thoughts and the writing. If it was if you'd written a list of 500 top Prince songs and not written a word about them, we wouldn't be talking to you. We'd be just going, "There's a guy who likes songs in a certain order." It's what you say about them.
It's another way of like putting them all together as well, mixing them up instead of like going chronologically. It's like, you know, having them next to each other, and that's how I experienced Prince, because I, you know, did get to him until '99. So like all of the '90s, all of the '80s, all those I listened to out of order. It was just whenever I came across that CD in a music shop and like brought it back. So it's all jumbled up for me anyway.
Sorry, judging from what's left to come, I think you fell on the right side of the fence between you and me. But hey, in terms of decades, shall we say, being slightly partisan in that one.
What are you talking about? The remaining 21 that I've got to do?
Yes.
You know, who knows? Your 16 may not be in there. They may be neglected, and I've like plumped for some real obscure choices.
Okay, we're back there. A couple of technical issues that hopefully with our excellent mix down skills, you will not notice one jot. But I think this is an apt time to have a third reading by Tora from his rather remarkable list.
So this is When I Lay My Hands on You. In the midst of Prince's conversion to his new faith, he wrote When I Lay My Hands on You, a song that viciously rejects the idea of an eternal afterlife by describing sex as the only forever we'll both obtain, the only joy in this forsaken game. This blasphemy, which he belatedly attempts to cover up with a God forbid disclaimer the second time around, is a cathartic counterattack of raw sexual energy, the bark of a wild dog refusing to be leashed, and is why Prince warns us in the opening line that his message is not meant for transmission. Welcome to his long dark night of the soul, where a challenger for the title of one true God steps forth as the primordial Eros, not the neutered Eros of later poetry, the mischievous son of Aphrodite whom the Romans renamed Cupid, but the awesome elemental power that the Greek poet Hesiod described as the most beautiful of all the deathless gods. This divine loosener of limbs enters the arena and teases X-rated lyrics out of Prince, causing him to spin a tale of foreplay that culminates in a homage to the Santana song Europa. The result may be the most sensual guitar playing he has ever committed to tape, but behind the sensuality lies a violent clash of swords. Prince once said he doesn't feel sexy when he plays guitar, he feels angry. Here we hear him furiously shredding his sexual frustration with every sinew of his body, resisting being ordained by Eros's intoxicating power, and in the process creating a tender tabernacle for his new lord to step into. By the end, a defeated Eros crawls back into his demoted role as chubby cherub of the Renaissance, and an ashamed prince buries this profane lapse of lust in a place that only MPG Music Club members could access, first as a download and then 3 years later on a compilation, which to date still hasn't seen a physical release. In 2009, with a battle for his soul comfortably behind him, Prince relaxed his view that the song's message should only be accessed in the privacy of your mind, and began performing it live, most memorably as the opener to his Montreux appearances, where he skips over the blasphemous line in the first show, but in the second appearance summons the courage to scream it to the sky. The crowd melts when his seduction reaches its apex, the point where his fingers reach the capstone and the Santana solo is unleashed to mark the explosion of ecstasy. But to those listening carefully, they may hear behind its bars the beautiful, torturous screams of a banished god.
Bloody hell, mate. That is a piece of writing. That is what I'm talking about, right? This is exactly... If you read this and you do not want to go and either investigate that song for the first time or revisit it, you haven't read it at all. That made me go and listen to that song for the first time and consider... Oh, not for the first time, but to consider it properly for the first time.
Well, when I wrote that, listening to it before and listening closely, I never picked up on the God forbid, that it was like kind of blasphemy. It's talking about the sex being the only forever, and it's these deep listening that it's made me appreciate so many songs at a different level that I'm like pick up on things that was like, geez, that's a real big thing for him to say at that point in his career.
I had never considered it once. I was like, oh yeah, it's that song, the one that goes like that. I never thought about the lyrics, considered them in, taking them seriously at all. But there aren't many Prince songs where he renounces the afterlife, are there? Like you say, so that's quite shocking, and it really does add a layer of intensity and kind of darkness to that song within the larger context.
Are you a fan of the song?
I'm a bigger fan now because of you. I'm not saying you wrote the song, but I'm saying you explained it. You rated that really high, if I remember.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Paddy? What do you reckon the rating for that is?
I'm genuinely not looking 150-ish.
I reckon it's even higher because I just seem to, not because I'm checking now, but I reckon I'm guessing at 94 because I was like, I was like amazed at how high. Oh, wow, it's 46. Whoa. I love that. See, I love that you would have, like, to me, the fairness to you, because it's really easy to sort of go, well, the top 70 places go to every song on Dirty Mind through to Love Sexy or whatever, you know. Like it's so fair and it's so deep.
Have you always found it really easy weird question, have you always found it really easy to keep going with it? There's never been any sort of, or occasionally I just nothing will come to me, I don't know, or is it always sort of a constant up?
Sometimes I'll struggle with a song where I'm just not finding an angle or anything that I really want to verbalize about it. So I'll put it off and like come back to it maybe a week later or so. And I'm finding it harder now when it's, as I said before, it's songs that I'm, the real top songs that I'm like, there's so much that I want to say about it. Then trying to like corral all these thoughts into like a narrative can be quite hard.
I mean, that's such nice writing. And that's high. That's 46, which, I think your writing's great throughout. But I can definitely see what you said, that you got more and more like floral, or just maybe you didn't quite say that, but you just found more and more chops as you went along. Because after writing 430 songs odd, by the time you get to 46, you're like, I've really got to push myself to say something I haven't said before, right?
Yeah, and it's a lot of the time also I'll like hear something or think of something or be inspired by something, and instantly I'm like, oh, what song can I attribute that to? And then when I come to that song, I've got like notes, like all scattered around, not anything. Yeah, I've got so many notebooks all in different places, and
as long as you haven't got a spreadsheet, I think.
no, not.
I mean, what are you going to write next? Because is it you know, should it maybe you should just write the biopic of Prince? Is like, well, there's one being filmed already, isn't there?
I don't think I could probably write anything that isn't about Prince. I find this easy to, well, I wouldn't say easy, but I'm motivated to write about this because it's something that I'm so passionate about. When I come to like write about anything that I'm not as passionate about, I find it really hard.
Yeah, no, that's a good secret. You know, I write for a living, but this book, your book, as it were, your blog is the book I wish I'd written about Prince. There's one other book I wish I'd written, which I haven't written yet because I'm too lazy. But this one is how you do it, you know. And like, I really, another thing I love about your list is you know a lot about a lot of different types of music. So it's very easy to say, oh, this one sounds a bit like James Brown and a bit of Stevie Wonder, a bit of George Clinton. But you go all over the shop. You bring in a lot of 90s hip hop. You talk about Colombian music. You know your onions, sir. So you know, you compare a lot of Prince's deep cuts to a lot of deep cuts by other artists who aren't necessarily your go-tos for Prince, and that's really helpful too, because it just places Prince in a really, really solid framework.
Well, my music listening has like, I haven't always been hugely obsessed with Prince. Sometimes it's like kind of dropped out. Like when Planet Earth was released, there was so many like promises of like, it's finally back to form, and I listened to it, and I got really disheartened by Planet Earth. I didn't like it at all when it first came out, and I just thought, oh, I think I'm done with new Prince releases.
I really think Planet Earth's problem was it had to follow 3121.
Yeah.
I think Planet Earth's problem is it's not very good.
Don't completely agree, but that's for another time.
Yeah, of course.
It was also a freebie given away with the Mail on Sunday, so it's like instantly you're just thinking this isn't worth anything. And yeah, I think I stopped listening to it. I missed Lotus Flower. When Lotus Flower came out, I didn't listen. I wasn't even aware. And that when you say Colombian music, I put on a night in London of sort of Latin American club music, and there was a 2-year period where I listened to nothing but Colombian music.
Yeah, which you talk about when you talk about Te Amo Corazon, which is an interesting track for me, right? Because I never liked Te Amo Corazon until on PPUK we talked about 3121, and I ended up I was dissing Corazon during that show, and then next time we did a recording, I said, guys, before we start, and I did this on the show, before we start talking about today's subject, I need to offer what's the word? A redaction? Is that the word? Of what I said last time, because since we talked about 3121, I have done nothing but listen to Te Amo Corazon, which has finally unfurled its charms for me. That's why I like talking to you guys on PPUK, because I revisit stuff. That's why I like your list, Tora, because it makes me think people I respect for their opinions but don't necessarily agree with have got something to say, which opens stuff up for me. And although I am a cantankerous, over-opinionated, over-gobshite, I do have a redemptive streak in me as well that takes on board what you guys say, and I end up learning more.
Does the reverse happen? And when you read my entry on Starfish and Coffee, then you did like it less?
Let's just say, watch your back, Sonny.
You've got to be careful when you go near Sign of the Times where Andy's concerned. He's
No, I'm all good. It's all a bonus ball to me. Like, for instance, I always think Raspberry Beret is like an unbelievable song, but if he had never done Raspberry Beret, we wouldn't have known what we were missing. It was just yet another sweetie that he pulled out, and like, it's so casually brilliant. There's this song, like, I'm Jewish, and at Passover, at Pesach, there's this kind of chant called Dayenu, right? And I can't do it. I can only do the Dayenu, but I don't speak Hebrew. But it's sort of like la 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 Dayenu, and Dayenu means it would have been enough. So in English, bear with me, Paddy. Paddy's looking really sus. In English, it means like, where is this going? Is Paddy's face.
I'm just thinking. Do you know that's a translation for raspberry beret?
Well, no. I think hear me out, right? Like the chant that you say at Seder night is like, if God had just delivered the Jewish people from slavery in Egypt, Dayenu, it would have been enough. If God had delivered them from slavery and given them food to eat along the way, it would have been enough. Dayenu. If God had delivered them, given them food, and found them a place for shelter, it would have been. That's how I feel about Dayenu. If Prince had just done 1999 and Purple Rain, Dayenu, right? If he had done Around the World Day, but it didn't have Raspberry Beret on it, Dayenu, right? But that's a fucking Dayenu song. And it's just like the man kept on giving. That's why we're here talking about 500 songs. I mean, the Beatles, between them, and I love the Beatles, don't get me wrong, but they wrote and recorded 188 originals during their career as the Beatles. And there was 3 of them and Ringo. We're very blessed to have this Dayenu of a man to talk about.
And I think that's what inspires so much devotion to him, because there's just so many. It's a Prince community is a broad church, because he covers so many eras, so many genres, so many styles that he caters for everybody.
He caters for everyone, except those who haven't learnt to understand him yet. And there's a few people in my life who I'm probably never going to convince. I should probably give up. I'm 49 as of yesterday. Oh, thank you. I did have a happy birthday. And I should probably get over still trying to push Prince on people, just preach to the converted. But I do think for some people, they might never discover Prince. And for others, suddenly the penny drops and you realise how to listen to Prince. And this list will help people get closer, I think. Do you have one more entry?
Sure. Okay, Strolling. And now for an intermission. Put your phone on flight mode, disable notifications, and pull the plug on your anxiety. Relax and watch all the things you feel guilty about, parts of 121 to 526, slip down the drain. You're due a break from Maya's drudgery, and what better way than to dip your toe into this rally chopper ride through an endless ice cream-filled summer. Strolling is a John Hughes movie about all the best parts of your childhood, a light jazz reimagining of Lou Reed's Perfect Day, minus the heroin, Ice Cube's Good Day, minus the AKs. The regularly scheduled programme, a 24-hour live stream of civilization's collapse, will soon return, but in the meantime, stay a while in this carefree retreat. You've earned this.
Amazing. That is Strolling. I can see it. I can feel it. I love. What did you say? A BMX bike? What was that line?
Rally chopper.
Yeah, a rally chopper ride of a song. It's perfect. Let's see what number but what do you reckon? Where do you reckon that fits from how positive it is, Paddy?
60.
Ooh, I think that's a bit high. I'm gonna say 211. Let's see.
I mean, I could play this game as well because I've.
Yeah.
I think maybe 300.
Oh, that's
380.
What's brilliant, Tora, is you're the furthest away. It's 169. Yeah. That says it all.
So much for educated guesses. I love that. But again, it goes back to what you said earlier. Everything's, whilst you're doing the list over such a long period of time, everything's in flux. So those thought patterns don't necessarily lock you down to a certain place.
But it's really interesting, right? Because I quite like Strolling. I like the line about the dirty magazine because I've got dirty mind, and I like Michael Bland's kick drums, which hit in funny places in it. But by and large, I don't love Strolling, but then this is Prince we're talking about. And one day I happened to be in New York. I did a apartment swap or a flat swap. I got Brooklyn Heights. The poor man I swapped with got Holloway, but that's life. And he's a friend of a friend. He was very happy to be here. But I was walking along, I was walking along, I don't know, Fifth Avenue or somewhere in Manhattan. It was an absolutely blinding day. I felt in the mood, and suddenly all I wanted to do from out of nowhere was listen to Strolling. It was like, that is the thing I need right now. And that's what Prince does to you. He's a vibe. He's an energy, right? That's what the kids say these days. Would Strolling be in your top 500, Paddy?
Top 500, yeah. Oh God, yeah. There's a lot of room in a top 500, which is why this endeavour is so admirable.
Yes,
there is less than you think, though, because there are some omissions for my list where I'm like, "What? This needs to get in there somewhere," and I can't.
I've noticed a few, but I think there is perhaps some cosmic. This is sort of moving away from subjectivity, but I think there is some cosmic alignment with regard to what most people like a little bit. So it does feel like it sort of channels someone. As I say, I've alluded to. I'm not like, I really don't want to try and say anything which implies something that may or may not be there, or a massive weight in one direction or another, because I want people to go and look at this site and dip in and read www.500printsongs.com and just smash it to pieces and get in there. So I kind of don't.
Yeah, that's great. Smash it to pieces. It's a giant Prince pinata, and if you like what is hiding in Prince pinatas, which is more Prince, you're going to love this. You said you've brought us an 80s one. Let's do an 80s one.
Poor When Two Are in Love, a song with no true home. The sweet and lullaby-like ballad, his last tailor-made side one closer, always sounded like it wandered into the wrong neighbourhood on the Black Album. Even more so when nestled up to Bob George on the eventual CD release. And on Love Sexy, it was the refugee stowaway, sheltering under I Wish You Heaven's protective wing. 2 places to bed for the night, but no sense of belonging. At one point, it was even scheduled to be the title track of a compilation of ballads. You can't say Prince didn't try to find its forever home. But who needs an album setting when your Lindrum snaps like teenage hearts and your synths caress with the sound of the universe purring? On second thoughts, When Two Are in Love probably found its rightful home on the flip side of the scandalous 7-inch single, 2 drum machine halves forming a perfect yin-yang of love and lust.
Beautiful. I mean, marry me.
Oh, God. So we've got, let's see, 18 to go now?
21.
Sorry, 21. My maths are not.
Hold on, I want to be that guy again. Where do you think Two in Love rates as a guess? All of you. I'll ask Paddy first.
120.
Okay. Do you know, Tora? Do you remember?
170.
Okay, I'm going to do that thing they used to do on The Price is Right and just like gazump you, Paddy. I'm going to go 121.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know, right? What? Oh, Tora takes the prize. It's 187.
Yeah, that surprised me.
Yeah. Tora, what does life hold for you then when you've fired number 1 into its prestigious slot? What are you going to do?
There's going to be a big hole to fill. I want to put this collection into a book. I've already started re-evaluating the list. I've basically, for the book form of it, I'm ditching the actual ranking order thing because I couldn't. It's proven too much of a rod for me and back that. And there's several omissions that I've grown to love since starting the list. That it's too late to put them in now. And which I've already written, about 25 new entries that aren't going to make it into the list, but are replacing ones that I may have fallen out of love, like early, like in the lower down on the list. So I mean that's another reason why my productivity's slacked off a little bit as I've been rewriting it a little bit. So I'd love to get that published.
I like the idea that, like, sorry, this is going to be quite morbid, right? But maybe your like dying words will be, I was wrong about starfish and coffee. It should be 79 places higher.
Well, I've, in the chat here, Paddy, you've suggested Let's Work maybe in the final 21. I hate to inform you that I've already written about that, and that is really low down, and that is one that I feel bad about, and I don't. I did it. I put it there. I put it out. I can't take it back, but I would put Let's Work a lot higher up now.
You put it at, let's see what you put it at, you monster. Oh my God, no. What? Why did we have this guy on? This guy doesn't know. 390? There are 39 albums worth of songs better than Let's Work, are there, you ogre?
So my failing there was when I was checking what I thought was and wasn't there, I didn't put
check that low
the little hyphen or apostrophe between the T and the S, so I didn't return the search, because as I say, I thought as I looked over it a little bit, I saw some patterning. And I didn't think that one was there. Oh, well, fair enough. Yeah, 390 is a long way down for that baby, I'll tell you.
I mean, I'm a fan of that song. I know from what you've said I can't, I mean, you mustn't say anything, but all the critics is going to be in the top 20.
Well, I've already mentioned that's like a key
But
key
I'm
moment for me.
really glad it is. That's in my top 20, as is If I Was Your Girlfriend, which I cannot imagine is not going to be in the top 20. If I Was Your Girlfriend is my number one Prince song. I'm going to give you my top 500, right? It's If I Was Your...
Stop.
No, listen.
If you let him go, he will do this. He will do
I
this.
really won't. My top 500 is If I Was Your Girlfriend, and then it's like, oh, it changes.
Yeah, that's fair.
I've got about 20 that I know that bump around the top 20, but I couldn't do what you do. I think it's amazing.
As I skirted around it earlier, then, have you had any particular disapproving comment towards a song? Has anybody strongly sort of told you you've wrecked their life by putting something at number 41 and not number 1, sort of thing?
No, I don't remember off the top of my head anything like really strongly worded. Or if I think I've had a couple of comments where I've replied to most of the comments, and they've kind of quickly backed down when they realised they were just venting on the internet, and they realised, like, oh, actually, he's talking about.
They know they're up against like this absolute maniac. Like these guys are just day trippers. Oh, I don't like that. But then when the guy who's actually ranking 500 songs comes back at them, they have got no game.
I think I put one thing I feel a little bit bad. I think it was My Love Is Forever. I can't remember where I've put it. It wasn't too low down, but it wasn't top 100. And someone mentioned that it was their daughter's wedding song, and it's quite a wedding-y song. And then I felt really bad. I'm like, I should have put it. I'm like, hang on, this ain't your list.
Well, you put it at 400.
It wasn't my wedding song.
You put it at 417, and I'm going to now find.
Did I really?
Yeah.
417. Oh no, I feel bad about that then. I mean, but my wedding song was "Get Off."
Oh, that's romantic. Like, it wasn't Wedding Feast then.
No, that's number 1.
Yeah. Oh, spoiler! Wow. And on that bombshell, My Love Is Forever. I sometimes read the comments that are written under here, but mostly I don't. I think when I was reading the Sacrifice of Victor entry, somebody mentioned that it was literally their favourite Prince song of all time, The Sacrifice of Victor, which just goes to show,
Yeah, I think I've had a couple of people say that there's definitely in the top 5, which it's surprising. I love hearing people.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's always intriguing.
It's amazing. I mean, they're wrong, but I'm being silly. What I meant to say is like I can only assume that it's a pretty good tune, but the lyrics, because they're so personal in that song, and that's very rare for Prince.
Yeah,
people, I guess, feel a connection with that song that I happen not to so much. The lyric that always gets me as being one of his most personal is in Way Back Home, where he says that startling line, "Most people are born dead, but I was born alive." And that just chills me to the bone. That's like the most frightening line he ever wrote. And I do include others here with us in that assessment. Imagine to me, that sounds like the most naked line he ever wrote. And imagine feeling that different from most people. It's like shockingly arrogant, but it's fully justified because he was Prince.
And that album is just like, just a complete... And so, like, late in his career, just showed they still had the power to release classics.
We've done a PPUK on Artificial Age, and again, as you write, Tora, a lot of these songs, a lot of the experience of popular music is how, when it hit you, why it hit you, at what stage in your life, and like, if you got into Prince in the 90s, when you were, as you say, formative years, maybe 13 to 19 years old, that stuff goes in deep. There is nothing... I honestly, people aren't wrong because they like different stuff from me. They're just less right.
I love, again, and the way that you're coming at it, there's a certain purity to it. If you heard it, you heard it in not necessarily in the chronological order. I think that gives you a much better... I don't know. I think whatever's popular at various times outside of the Prince sphere as well is always sort of an inevitable comparative in some respects. But yeah, it was a good way to come at it. And again, it's so weird sort of having a safety catch that stops me from asking what your favourite tune is, and having a built-in knowledge of having looked at particularly, shall we say, the top 100 so far, and not wanting to delve into the ones which I know aren't there, because I just want people to go and read it and people to actually go and make their own mind up and work that out.
I won't say what's at 22 because now we're getting to the sharp stuff, but that's the last one you've written. So we got 21 to go. When are you going to drop the next one, Tora?
Well, I've got one ready to go. I wrote it maybe like 6 months ago, but that was another one that I'm like, no, it shouldn't be here. Maybe the next one.
You're still thinking.
I still keep pushing it along, keep kicking it down the road because it needs to be. Every time I listen to it, I fall in love with it more.
Okay.
So it may I do know what the next one is going to be, and I've written a bit of it, but I get distracted really easily, and I've got really distracted with my art on Instagram at the moment. So I've neglected the blog.
Is this going to be an unfinished work like the Mystery of Edwin Drood? I may have got it wrong. I think that's Dickens' last novel, which was unfinished.
Right.
Yeah, Mystery of Edwin Drood. Are you going to just leave us hanging? Are you going to pass from this sphere, right, without us knowing what your last 7 were or something? Because I can't take that, man.
Yeah, that isn't my intention. I hope
that doesn't happen too.
Yeah. If you get down to your last 3 and decide you've had enough, you'd better emigrate because Andy will find you. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, then the gloves are off. I won't be a happy boy.
So anyway, because obviously you know your Prince tunes in depth, big style. One general Prince question I just wanted to ask you from one enthusiast to another. What would you like to hear from the estate next, and how have you felt about the releases so far?
Good question. I'm with these like super deluxe releases. I'm all about the vault material. It's, I like listening to live performances, but I just don't get that same like excitement when they unearth like a track that no one's like heard before, or only have like heard the title and I actually get to hear it for the first time. That's what really gets me racing. And I think they've done it well. In fact, that 1999. Purple Rain, Sign of the Times. They're the year there's a lot of unreleased music around those times. As for what comes next, I'd be happy as long as with any period, as long as there's songs that I haven't heard before. I mean, obviously the 80s, there is a lot more in the vault back then. I mean, the ones in the 90s. I think the vault material isn't as strong, especially as it will release Crystal Ball. You know, that was like a lot of the. That was mostly in Dream Factory.
Big mixture.
I mean, it's relative, isn't it? There's, compared to like any other human artist, there's still quite a lot of stuff in the vault from the 90s. You know, I mean, he was still pretty superhuman for most of his recording career, if not all of it.
But no matter what gets released, I'll buy it.
Yeah. And but I was going to ask that as well, or something along those lines, which is like, is it not a little bit worrying that when something's released, you're like, I've never heard this track before, but now this is going to shift everything in the list from 412 upwards or downwards?
Well, I've got a cutoff point. My cutoff point was everything that he released in his lifetime, but then there were songs that I lost to appeal to me that were in the list that like I had to bump, and then I had to replace them with things, and there were things leaking like just after, in the first couple of years there was some like great tracks that have made it in. So like Come Electric Tuesdays made it in, and I'm trying to think what else, but that have missed the that came after that deadline. But I think the deadline now is the end of 2017. I mean, there's obviously there's nothing from Welcome to America in there, or Revelation.
If you didn't have a cut-off point, would you put anything from Welcome in there?
Born to Die, I think, is a great tune.
Yeah, that's not my favourite. I
like Born to Die.
I'm still trying to work on Welcome to America. I finally, PPUK fans who care, finally understood the Rainbow Children. Finally, really, really enjoying that album from start to finish. So give me another 4 years and maybe another 14 years, and I'll like Welcome to America a way bit more.
I think Rin Tin Tin's a great track off it as well.
Yeah, the lyrics don't mean anything to me. It's hard. I like the tune.
I don't listen to lyrics that much.
Oh, Man After My Own Heart. I don't either. I mean, unsurprising being a guitarist playing, but I'm not as... I do to a degree, but it's much more about ensemble melodies.
I like music for me too, but to me, Rin Tin Tin, seeing as we're here, Rin Tin Tin, and we've done this as well, but I like it's like kind of minor arabesque Prince, which I like all that. Or, there's a kind of Eastern vibe to the Eastern sinister sort of minor vibe to the tune, like the arrangement. But I want a lyric that means a little bit more for me, to give me the goosebumps that will let me into that tune properly. Because I've heard Prince do minor Eastern weirdness a few times. I need one more hook on that song, and it's to me something that's not quite as obscurely weird as the lyric of that song would help. There, I've said it. Sorry, Prince.
Cool. I really hope that this, one way or another, this progresses to a published book, because I think it's thoroughly deserving. I think it'd be a great read. I think the time's probably right around now, because there are a few things like that floating about. And I've read, I'd looked it up, I can't believe I forgot. It's Prince All the Songs. It's a very obvious title. And I've read probably about 3/4 of it now. I think your offering would be so different, but in that pool and a benefit, it would be a brilliant thing to see out in print. So I really hope one way or another that happens.
I think for casual listeners, this would bring Prince, it would bring them into Prince's orbit a lot more. And it's fascinating. Even if you don't know much, you start to realize there's a universe behind what they might know as the kind of poster boys for Prince songs and Prince albums. And for hardcore, rabid fans like ourselves, it's just what you said before, Paddy. It's a Prince pinata of almost infinite joy. So it works for everyone. You couldn't read this stuff and not get interested, even if you didn't know anything about. You'd start to realize there was a world here that people care about and that you should start investigating. So I hope it gets a really, really wide audience. 500printsongs.com, guys. That's what we've been talking about, as you probably know by now, but I can't say it enough. You're writing the book that I wish I'd written, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks very much.
One of the best Prince reads online I can think of, and it's from, again, that idea of sort of a shed concentrically flowing out catharsis, is like the galaxy spreading out from the Big Bang. It really does make me think in those terms when I read your entries. It's a fantastic piece of work, mate.
What we're trying to say, Tora, you're number one on our charts.
Oh my God! And on that note, we will bid you good evening. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Really enjoyed it.
Good night.
Bye.